Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Perry, and I want to tell you a story. It's going to feel like a class, but it's not. It's a story. Um, there's a wonderful book by the Hickses, The Astonishing Power of Emotions, and they talk about how your emotions serve as a sixth sense. And when something makes you angry or frustrated, you know that that's the way you want to turn your boat away from. Everything you want is downstream. Turn your boat away. You are rowing upstream. You are working way too hard because you're leaning into. And very often we're told to lean into that emotion, see what that emotion is saying to you, talk to that emotion. And yeah, it's good to analyze the emotion, but when we wallow in our anger and frustration and sadness and fear, when we wallow in those things, we're not moving in the way God really needs us to move, to change, to make a change in the world. So we're leaning into the things that frustrate us, that anger us, that cause us sorrow. When something gives you joy and light and hope, that's the way to go, because that's what's going to lead to more of that, not just for you, but for everybody you echo out to. Anyway, one of the things I've used this to kind of help guide me whenever I was uncertain of something. How am I feeling about this? How are my emotions? Are they taking me towards it or away from it? And when I was doing stand-up comedy, a lot of things, I loved creating laughter. I loved creating joy. I loved using humor to deal with things like racism and sexism. It was a way to help people see the irony and the stupidity of such a horrible stain on our society. So I loved being able to do that. But very often I had to work in clubs where people were drunk and, they're hitting on you and whatever, and then the other comedians. But the main thing that kind of turned me away from it was the lack of creativity. That you do a bit one night and the next night the headliner is doing your very bit. That they would take the work of someone else, and I'd go, why would you come into a field, an occupation that requires creativity, just to steal somebody else's work? I really don't like the lack of originality that we see in the world today. It is amazing to me that the movies that I grew up with are being remade into movies now with all the ideas and amazing things that exist. Diversity, to me, one of the greatest powers of diversity is enabling us to be our authentic self. Because if I use diversity in my life to combine ways and ideas and people and things that I learn from and see, no one else is going to come up with that combination. No one in the world, because it's all coming from you, seeking you. If you're walking around just copying, of course you're going to see the same thing. But if you are creating this unique self by being who you are and exposing yourself to the diversity in the world, you're going to create something completely and uniquely you. So, the story in all of this. I love the environment, the place, the people, the things that I get to be around, to see, to create, because it is uniquely mine. And one of the things that Reverend Michael White, my rector who gave the sermon at my ordination, said, he said, don't just become a deacon in the Episcopal Church. We've got enough of those. Be who you are. God called you to be who you are and to be better at being you than anybody else could ever be, because nobody can be you. Nobody can be you. So when I go upstairs and I try to figure out another thing sewing, I'm sewing something that's kind of coming from me. When I sit down to write and I'm working on writing it, I'm writing something that's coming from me. This is kind of long and kind of there, but I think you will be able to feel today the frustration you have with the things that are not uniquely you. Allow your emotions to move you away from that frustration and into the things that give you joy. Because what gives you joy is what you're here for, to find out ways to give more of it to the world. I love you.